Hello everyone, my name is Nitsu and I'm back with another episode of DigiTopics. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the concept of looking ahead and then prepping and planning yourself so that way you could get to whatever end goal you're setting for yourself and make as easy and seamless transitions as you possibly can between your starting point and your end goal. So the big concept of this is just looking ahead. So generally what I like to do is I will pick the farthest point of information that we have available to us, and thankfully because the English market is behind the Japanese market in terms of where the game is currently developed, it allows you to use all of that information from Japan to make more informed purchasing decisions, so that way you don't have to waste as much time or resources figuring things out when you could do all of that work beforehand. So looking at what we currently have as our furthest point as of the recording of this video, we have set 4, and even though English is only on set 1, you should still be looking at set 4 to figure out what you want to play when that time comes. So let's just say when set 4 comes out, just as a side note, we are getting the starter decks at the same time as set 4, so I just lumped it in here. But let's just say when set 4 comes around, you want to play Chaosmon. So Chaosmon might be your favorite Digimon, he might be a powerful deck, whatever the reasons may be, you just want to play Chaosmon. So now that you figured out what you want to play, you need to know what that deck kind of looks like. So you would go and you would build an example deck for like your target. So this is the actual target in which you are aiming for, so that way you could play the Chaosmon card that you really wanted to play and have as powerful of a deck as you possibly can that centers around him. Right now, again, we're only on set 1 for this example, and we know that you want to play Chaosmon when he comes out in set 4. So you need to figure out what are the things you need to be looking for, so that way you can make the best and easiest transitions that you possibly can with spending as few resources as you possibly can. So we can go and look at everything we have in set 1, and then we could see, okay, there's a couple of cards that match based on the cards that we have or the cards that we're going to be using with our end goal. So we would start to build a deck that kind of mirrors or shadows what our end goal is going to be like. You're going to be trying to basically line your deck that you're going to be making for the current meta that we're in with your end goal. So with all of that in mind, the whole point is to try to figure out what you need for each subsequent meta to make those transitions a little bit easier. In this example, if you're trying to play this Chaosmon deck, not saying this Chaosmon deck is good or optimized, this is just, again, all for the example. So if you're trying to build that Chaosmon deck, this is a deck that you should be considering on running and the cards that you should be considering picking up. So that way you can try to get to your end goal as easy as possible. And then we know that there is a set in between set 1.0 and set 4. So we need to then look at all of the different options we have available to us. So that way we could build a transition deck. So that way when we go from set 1.0 to 1.5 to set 4, we can make the transition as easy and seamless as we possibly can. So if this is your starting point, this is your end point, then this would be that middle transition point where you would try to pick up some of the cards based on what your end goal is. Now, it is okay that some of the card ratios are going to be changing, or you could, again, still try to mirror it up as best as you possibly can, but you also have to think about what you're going to be playing for this current meta. So even though you might not be exactly using all of those cards, it's still nice to have a pool of cards that you could have access to, so that way you could customize and change the deck based on personal preferences or something that you might have felt was correct. So if you want to, like, as just an example, you want to still play Ken in the new Chaosmon deck, even though the new Chaosmon deck you built doesn't originally have him, it doesn't mean that he's a bad card. He just might be played for this meta, and then he is in your pool of cards to have access to change up your end goal based on what testing you may or may not be doing. So that's kind of like just the whole concept is figuring out what you want to play and then figuring out the target deck you want to end up with and then just trying to figure out your points of transition to get to those points. Yes, this does require a lot of looking ahead and a lot of research and a lot of planning and prepping, but trust me, it will all pay off in the end when you actually get to that endpoint and you've spent as little amount of resources, time, and effort as possible when it actually comes out, because you already know everything that you want, you already know everything you want to pick up, so it just makes your life easier in the long run by doing all of this prep work beforehand. And then again, this concept transitions to every deck in every color, and it even extends beyond what we currently have, because when the next set comes out, then your end goal moves to what that next set is, and then your deck will change based on that next set. And then your old end goal will basically just turn into a transition point. So that's kind of just the whole core concept, is always figuring out what you want to play based on the farthest bit of information you have, and then constantly changing that goalpost to make those transitions as smooth and easy as possible. So let's just say set 5 comes out, and it might change what this looks like a little bit, but it might not change what your other decks are going to be looking like, because your focus is still going to be on a very particular concept or card. So I really hope this kind of information helps you figure out that you should be looking ahead. I definitely would 100% using DigimonCard.dev, because they have a very great database and a great website that allows you to just, look ahead and figuring out what you want and what you should be getting. And then you could also start building your decks on this website and save them, so that way you'll always have reference of the decks that you want and the cards that you should be getting. So that's kind of all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.